gentlemen, welcome. Who we are, Stimul-IT, what do we do? Well, what I can say is the future is actually happening right now in front of you. That's very short and concise what we do. We at Stimul-IT, we like to work at the edge of technology. The bad thing is we won't always be able to work with everything in technology because technology is something very broad. But what does Stimul-IT stands for? Well, we stand for stimulating efficient use of ICT towards a society that creates, shares, and uses knowledge for the prosperity and well-being of its people. What do we mean? Because usually we think, oh, we share knowledge, but actually the most important thing we need to share is content. And how do we share content? Is by creating the content. Right now, we are not creating enough content to share, to sell abroad. Not only in Curacao, we need content to share and sell. Cash, the dollar sign, towards the region, towards the world. I'm going to show you a short video of what we've been doing for the past 2 years. You see in the video, you are arming this 3D printer step by step, piece by piece. catching up. But anyway, the whole point is to learn while having fun. Because if you have fun doing what you do, you will actually learn more. And every day you learn. I can't believe it, but I'm learning every day something new. So with this group, what we did is we teach them how to film a video by making scripts and storyboarding. From there on, create a video of their project. So you have a group that made a projector with mirrors and a lens. So it's a big box, just a big carton box. You push your iPad into it and it projects a small projection of what's playing on the iPad. So just simple physics, mirrors, and with pencils and glue, you can adjust the mirrors and adjust the picture. So it's very, very simple, but using creativity, using just the wee bit of technology available at their disposal, and they were able to create a projector, something like that. Projector with carton, mirror, and iPad, and they had to film it and present it in our summer class. So this is what we did in this video, and at the end, we always tried to have fun with them. So we did a Harlem Shake. We also have a final cutter. With the final cutter, if you watched the video, you saw that we had some shirts printed out. What we did is we have this special material. You cut whatever forms or figure in it, and then you iron that on your shirt, and then you can create these cool custom designed shirts. This is also part of our X Lab. X Lab stands for experimental lab, so we experiment with the kids, and they made their own shirts, and even a little 3D printed coin. With this coin, we call it a coin, they can come in at any time and change that coin for a 3D print. We also had last year in December the Hour of Code. We went to Prince Bernhard in group 7, and we sat with the guys. They have the OLPC, and then we learned them how to code. Something very easy to do. We used a program called Scratch, which is block coding. So you don't actually write code, you just take blocks, and each block says what it does. So it can be a return, it can be a if statement, it can be a go-to statement, but it's in a block figure, and that those block figures fit into each other like a Lego, and that's what you learn them. The basics of programming. We also did that outside of the school, in our computer lab. And if you watch into the screen, you can see all those little blocks. Those are actually code. So we learned them how to make a Christmas card by combining those blocks like Lego and then creating their own Christmas card. As you can see, this one already started coding, and each code has a movement or something happening on the screen at the moment. As you can see, everybody's busy coding. Nobody's playing around with card games. So that's the fun part of it. You actually learn something and having fun doing it. We also help them out when they're stuck. This is another example. If you watch over here, you see it repeats this statement an amount of time, and then it does this statement. So this is a forever statement until there's do while. There's a do while statement. This is just a header. So you see the animals are talking while this is running, and when it reaches a certain amount amount of time, it will break and do something else. So we also have for the teens or tweens, I don't know how you put them. We also did some cool projects with the Arduino, and we showed them that the Arduino uses Python. It's a programming language very popular these days. But you can also use the Scratch to program the Arduino. So by teaching them how to work with Scratch, you're basically teaching them how to program with Arduino. And with Arduino, you open the doors for them to create drones, robots, etc., etc. So again, you're opening the window for them to keep on programming. And from Scratch, you can easily go to other languages like Python. You can go to PHP and other programs. Just, it's the basics. They all are the same. In this example, we show them how to put on or put off our combination of LEDs. You can watch the circuit board. You can see there are 3 LEDs, and by programming or sending commands to the program, you can let them on or off, and depending on the environment. You can also connect sensors to the Arduino. Recently, we also have the Earth Hour in conjunction with the Ministry of Economic Development, Coca-Cola, Green Force, Ecovision presents Earth Hour. Promotional video, and at the Earth Hour itself, we had the dance art act. It's a bit dark, so I'm not sure if you can actually see these guys walking on stilts. You can see on the far side, on your left, you see these guys making he's doing a break dance move on stilts. I don't know how he did that, but he did it. We also had Junior Tekla playing. We also designed special shirts for that night. And the whole idea is to take 1 hour and reflect what you can do to save the planet. It's not just turn off the lights 1 hour and see how you can cash in. That's not the idea. 1 hour is not an impact. But the whole idea is what can you do, and we did that by celebrating that one particular hour and by turning on the light of iconic monument. In Paris, they have the Eiffel Tower, so we decided to turn off the lights on the Emma Bridge. That was our contribution in Earth Hour. And soon we will have X-Lab for the kids again. That will be the Eco Edition. So we're going to see how we can use technology and focus on the ecology at the same time. So we will be playing with solar panels, taking waste bottles, creating boats with waste bottles, and a robot of create movement with salt water, because with salt water you can create a chemical reaction which can create current. So stuff like that is what we do. Right now we're also in a merger with with ICC, which is Innovatie Centrum Curacao, which means that right now we can focus much more on innovation than before as Stimul-IT. Right now I'm just going to show you guys something just to prove a point. This is a technology timeline. And please, technology does not mean computer, right? Because the thermometer by Galileo in the 1500s was also a technology. The adding machine by Babbage, or this one is by Pascal, is also a part of technology. Steam engine is also technology. First mechanical computer is also technology. The printing press is a technology. So do not think that when I say technology, it means only computers and internet. It's just a part of the whole. Okay? So I can see in 1971, it all started with Intel introducing the 8080 processor. This, by the way, was the first processor that I programmed with. Wow. That was a long time ago. So in 1981, IBM came with the first personal computer. In 93, it came out with the next personal computer that had MS-DOS on it. And in 84, you had Apple. And in 85, you have the 386 coming out. And from the 386, you got the 486 and also the first portable laptop. This was actually something to put on your lap. It was very heavy. And 86, we have the number of PCs shipped reached 64 million in 50-year period, right? And in 88, we have the Ricardo CD. 89, we reach 120 million PCs shipped. And in 91, we have the Creative Labs introduced the Creative Kit that contained the CD-ROM drive and the Sound Blaster Pro board. It was the first one of the first CD-ROM drives for computers. Wow. And in 92, the number of computers shipped worldwide reached 202 million. In 93, you got the first Pentium computer. CPU, sorry. And in 94, it reached 288 million PCs shipped worldwide. In 95, you all remember Windows 95, the launch. And in 96, we had the first 3D graphics accelerator and the games that came out for it. In 97, we have the Pentium 2. In 98, we have the first portable MP3 player. And PC sales reached 590 million worldwide. 99, we have Napster and the Pentium 3. And the Pentium 4 came in 2000. So as you can see, as the years go by, shorter and shorter. Okay? That's what I'm trying to show here. That's what I'm trying to prove. So in 2002, we have Pentium 4. And right now, we have the i3, i4, the i5, and i7. And the i7 has 4 cores. Basically, 4 CPUs, 4 processors, and 1 processor. So that's basically what it is. And to prove another point, this is my computer at home.
How did you do that?
And it gets worse. They have even smaller. They have even smaller. You guys should check element14.com, and they are the official American distributor of the Raspberry Pi and other mini PCs. Element14. Element14.com. The Raspberry Pi was introduced 2 years ago. and they were unable to keep up with the demand. Originally, it was for schools, but because it was so well designed, it has been used, and because it's so cheap, it has been used and reprogrammed and hacked in a way that you can use it basically everything. The only difference is it won't run Windows, but it will run Linux. That's the only difference. Just imagine, as a little bit, as a business, you can have something like this connected to the cloud or data center with all your software and infrastructure, everything within the data center, and all you have to do is connect your network, and you have everything. Your financials, your financial information, financial software, your inventory, everything is into the cloud. And all you need is this little $35 computer, a keyboard, a mouse, and a screen. Most probably you have more than one of those. Think about it, think about it. Okay, let's move to our Fab Lab. Fab Lab stands for Fabrication Laboratory. It began as a collaboration between the Grassroots Invention Group and the Center for Bits and Atoms at MIT, major lab in the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And they got a grant, and with that grant, they created the Fab Lab. The whole idea is you should be able to create anything in a Fab Lab. We also have a Fab Lab, and within a Fab Lab, you usually get these devices. You have a laser cutter, a CNC machine, 3D CNC machine, a rapid prototyper or a 3D printer, a final cutter, a 3D scanner. These are the basics. You could have a sewing machine, you could have any other type of device within your Fab Lab. But these are the basic that you need to be a Fab Lab. Right now we have a laser cutter, we have 2 3D printers, we have 2 final cutter, and 2 3D scanners. We are currently watching whether to buy a CNC router or to build a CNC router. So basically you can cut the wood with a laser cutter, and you can build parts with a 3D printer, only metal rods and metal drivers you need, we will buy. So basically you will be able to build a CNC router. So we're currently watching what do we really want. Maybe we'll buy one and build one, or maybe we'll just build 2. It depends. So we're still looking and see what we're going to do. We are officially the first in the Caribbean that has a Fab Lab. And as you can see, it's written in the registry of MIT, Curacao, Willemstad, Stimul-IT, with our email and the languages we speak. And you have various rating. We have AABB rating, which means we are free to use. It's open, but it's not open 24/7. I need to sleep, you know. But basically, we have various rating, and each rating has to do with the type of Fab Lab we have. We have commercial Fab Lab, in which you pay and then you can use the devices. We are a non-commercial Fab Lab because we want you to feel and touch the new technology. So basically, all you need to pay is for the material. So if you come in, please call ahead. It's not like I'm just sitting there waiting for you to come in. Please call ahead, and then we can sit down, maybe discuss. Right now, we have a discussion with an architect that's at a plan. So instead of going to make a maquette, they call it in Dutch, we decided let's print it out. Let's create sections, print it out, and then put them together like a puzzle. So right now he's busy with his 3D design and cutting it up in pieces so we can print it on that commercial printer over there. This is an example of the laser cutter. We have this exact same model in our offices. It can cut through plastic, it can cut on plastic, so it will go through it, and can even write or paint design on plastic. On glass, it can cut wood, it can paint designs on wood, it can also carve in certain metals with the 3D cutter. This one, vinyl cutter. Basically, you can do everything and anything with the vinyl cutter. It's basically using the technology of the plotter. Instead of plotting, it cuts. Basically, that's the technology it's using. And the fun part of it is creating stuff. As you can see, we created the shirts, the shirts with the kids. We created with this machine. program. The program that we use is Reconstruct Me. And to connect it to the computer.
Interfaces with the Microsoft Connect, and it can do 3D model reconstruction in real time, like the 3D scanning. So you can see here, I fired it up, and I'm just going to move back and forth in this first test. And you can see that a 3D model is being captured and generated in real time within a certain depth of field. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to stop this recording, and then I'm going to go and do a second one where I get a full 360-degree scan where I'm going to make a model for 3D printing. So you can see, normally you would have a friend walk around you with the Kinect, but you can actually just sit in an office chair and spin around, and that works surprisingly well, actually. So that's the full capture right there. Just in a few seconds, it's done. And I bring that over into NetFab Studio, where I'll run a repair script to do the cleanup, and then just crop out the parts that I don't want to put on the printer, and then export it to an STL file, and bam, it's ready to print.
That's basically it. The challenge is with this 3D scanner to clean up the scan and to actually walk around a person without shaking your hand. That is a challenge, trust me. I've been there. Walking around a person at the same distance, it is a challenge. But it's a fun challenge. Right now I'm going to focus a little bit on the 3D printer. This video I'm going to show you has some very controversial section about the 3D printer. It's, for example, bioprinting, which is controversial. We also have the printing of a 3D gun, for example, which is also controversial. So if you have any questions, I would be glad to answer them at the end. But pay close attention to what this section is going on.
The most eye-catching development in printing since Gutenberg invented the printing press 600 years ago. A machine that can make copies of almost anything, but this time in 3D. It seems like science fiction, but 3D printing is already in use, building hearing aids, jewelry, even parts for NASA. Now the technology is becoming available to anyone, meaning you can turn your garage into a small factory. So what would you build if you could create anything? Have a look. What you're watching is an ear being printed. Layer upon layer, tiny droplets are deposited, building up the structure. So this is someone's ear.
This would be printed to be someone's ear.
Oh my goodness. The project is a type of 3D printing called bioprinting, led by Dr. Anthony Atala at the Wake Forest Institute for Regenerative Medicine in North Carolina.
Same technology you have at your very own home, but instead of printing sheets of paper with ink, you're actually printing tissues with cells.
The premise is simple. Send a scanned image of a body part to the printer, and the machine starts building. Ears, noses, fingers. Dr. Atala's goal is to transplant the parts directly into patients.
So we're actually testing a lot of these structures right now experimentally. The way it works is the cells are able to anchor onto the scaffold. They start making new tissue, and as that starts to happen, this scaffold goes away.
An ear takes between 4 to 6 hours to make, printed with what's called bio-ink, a mixture of biodegradable gel and actual human cells.
One of the big advantages of these technologies is that you are using the patient's own cells. And by doing so, really you avoid the major problem of rejection.
Dr. Atala has specialized in regenerative medicine since 1990. But it wasn't until this TED Talk 2 years ago that the promise of building body parts caught fire.
90% of the patients on the transplant list are actually waiting for a kidney. You can actually see the printer back here, and that's been printing this kidney structure that you see here. Here it is. You can actually see that kidney as it was printed earlier today.
While implanting kidneys like this is still at least a decade away, it holds the potential to revolutionize organ transplants.
Well, up until just recently, the way that we made these tissues was to actually create them by hand, one by one. When you start thinking about getting these technologies to many patients and creating thousands of these organs at the same time, you need to automate the process, and that's where bioprinting comes in.
Meaning you can make thousands of kidneys.
You could make thousands of organs. You know, you just pick the organ you want to make, but then you allow the printer to do them over and over again.
Is this a finger?
This is actually a finger.
Right now, Dr. Atala's bioprinting is in the preclinical phase. Simpler organs will be the first to reach patients, starting with skin.
If this were in fact a wound, it would be dropping real skin cells over the wounded area.
The skin printing project is being funded by the U.S. military with the hope of treating injured soldiers in as little as 5 years. But while Dr. Atala's work is cutting edge, 3D printing isn't new. The technology has been around since the mid-'80s, mainly used for prototyping in industrial settings. Professor Hod Lipson from Cornell University says that's changing.
It has reached a level of technological maturity that it is used beyond prototyping to actually make functional parts that are used in reality, and the aerospace industry is a good example.
Some commercial planes are now outfitted with air ducts that are 3D printed, made smoother, lighter, and cheaper than the traditional method. Hollywood is using 3D printing to make costumes, like parts of the suit in Iron Man 2. And a professor in California plans to 3D print a house. In every case, a digital blueprint is either sketched or scanned and then sent to a 3D printer. The printing itself can be done by extruding a liquid, usually plastic, drop by drop, or by using a laser to fuse resins and metals.
What you have here is a sample of a titanium nose implant.
Hod, who calls himself a 3D printing addict, has just co-authored a book on the subject that will be released next week. And the one thing he's betting will spur demand for the technology may surprise you.
I think it will be food. I think food printing is to 3D printing what gaming was for computers.
Already, students at his lab have printed chocolate, peanut butter, even cakes. Beyond food, there are a few disciplines Hod thinks 3D printing won't touch. Printing an iPod, he says, isn't that far off.
If you think about the evolution of humans, we like to distinguish ourselves from other animals by the ability to make tools. And 3D printers are perhaps the ultimate tool.
But what happens to laws and regulations when you have a tool to print anything?
Next on 16x9, shooting off 11 rounds on a gun with a printed part.
Where there's a computer that could be a weapon.
Let's move on.
products that they would then mass produce. What we did in 2007 is we realized basically that, hey, why don't we use this amazing technology to give anyone access to manufacturing? Why don't we use this technology, these 3D printers, to make actual final products?
3D printing, it's a rapid prototyping technology. The same way that you might carve something out of wax or make a little sculpture, glue a bunch of matchsticks together and make a castle, is the same way now you might sit down at your computer and use a CAD program like Rhino or Maya to sculpt something and then print it out. So for me, 3D printing was a way to bring together art and science. Like, I was able to express the artistic thing that I could see in my head, but use really precise techniques and technology to realize that.
If you understand 3D printing to mean the deposition and fusing of material on a layer, it really opens up what you could consider 3D printing to be. I think the most interesting advancements in terms of where 3D printing is and is going have to do with dimensionality and materials. So both at the small scale of dimensions and the large scale. Like, people are getting parts scanned in their body to get custom implants made for, like, if they're having heart troubles and things like that. Or at the very, very big scale, like the large gantry-mounted kind of building scale applications. I think those are really interesting. And then shifting out of plastics into things like ceramics, like other biological materials that people are looking at printing in. Really, that opens up what 3D printing is and what its applications can be in a kind of exponential rate in terms of where it would go and what you would do with it.
It's a good time for experimentation. It's a good time to think about how something that's as old as the clothing industry could be redefined with new technologies. We use digital fabrication technologies and software techniques to invent what fashion design means for a digital age. Artists are always the early adopters. We essentially want to be the first fashion label that's
Artist? Oh.
We started working with 3D printing because we liked this idea of, like, could we make clothing without sewing? Having one machine that can make really impossible shapes is a huge benefit. So this is a 3D printed bikini. So designing the bikini was really about designing this generative textile, like designing a way for 3D printed to be almost like fabric and be flexible and fit to the body. And so how this is done is, after we modeled this 3D shape, it actually fills the surface that you want with this geometry that creates this fabric-like structure. It packs the circles closer and smaller at the edges, and then towards the middle sections you have bigger circles. And this is nice because it actually, like, looks interesting for a bikini, and it's aesthetic as well as functional. So we've done some work with 3D printing. We felt that people really understood shoes. So our goal was to actually have, like, a dedicated shoe printer in the store, and then people could, like, print their shoes. Or you could even have, like, basically a printer you would buy just to be able to make yourself as many shoes as you want.
Yeah, there's no issue with sizes.
Inspiration, I think, is one of the things that people need to really get started, especially with new technology. So now what we've therefore created are creators in our co-creation platform is where you can adapt in a very fun and easy way existing designs. So Shapebase, we built a basic platform to enable people to upload and print the designs they care for. You can share it with your friends. You can even open a shop and you can start selling your new invention, your new creative idea to a worldwide audience.
Like, the one thing that's really interesting about this technology is that it's more accessible. Because it's more accessible, it's not only the hardware is more accessible, it's also the language that it's been coded in is more accessible. Also, the learning resources that you need to be able to do it yourself is also more accessible. Right, so now all of a sudden, the big walls that existed before in terms of who had the privilege of being able to create what and largely dictate how people used it are gone. But again, I mean, I think it just goes down to the fact that, you know, information is everywhere now. Everyone has access to it. And it's very easy to do whatever you want with it. The technology that exists today, it also shapes the way that you think about what the possibilities of tomorrow might be. You know, so if you have a great idea, that idea might not be ready to come into the world yet until there's a mechanism put in place, right, that makes that idea now realizable.
People are comparing the 3D printing revolution to the revolution that happened with personal computing. I don't necessarily think there'll be a 3D printer in every home, but I think there'll be a 3D printed product in every home. There'll be an application for it for everyone.
When I cut my fingers off, it was on a Saturday afternoon, and I'd gone to the hospital. From there, I had actually decided, when I was in the emergency room, that I'm going to make a set of fingers for myself. I originally asked a lot of people for some help, and I sort of was turned down before you could even open up a discussion with people by saying it's impossible. The more people told me it's impossible, the more I decided that it is possible, you know. And I started investigating things online and all the different prosthetics that are available, and none of them are trade-friendly and none of them are functional, as in returning functionality to your hand as a tradesman.
I first started thinking about prosthetic hands and fingers when I was 12 or 13 years old in shop class and terrified of power tools.
Arvin played a very important role in this. His ideas and stuff were great for the project.
I have a background in mechanical special effects, primarily making mechanical props, and one of the things that I built in the past were essentially giant puppet hands. Richard contacted me after seeing a video of one of the mechanical prop hands and offered me the opportunity to collaborate with him. We started experimenting with 3D printing and utilizing the machines that MakerBot provided.
We got the printers, and then Arvin was already back in the US. I would do sketches and scan them and send them over, email them over, and then he'd script something and send the file back and I'd print it, and then I'd say, no, hang on, this is not working, and change this and change that, and it was up and down.
The impact that utilizing the MakerBot Replicator 2 had upon our design process was incredible. It dramatically increased the speed at which we could prototype and try out ideas, and gave us the ability to both hold a physical copy of the exact same thing, even though we were separated by 10,000 miles.
Originally, it wasn't a consideration to help other people. It was all just about me at that stage. And then as we went along, and so one prototype became another one, and so on and so forth, I saw that this could help many other people.
Liam was born without fingers. Having two previous kids with all 10 fingers, it was quite a shock for us.
Liam's mom, Yolandi, she sent us a message on Facebook, because we had now put this and opened up a little page on Facebook. And she contacted us with just a little message, and then I sent her my cell phone number, and then we had a chat, and she said, you know, she'll do anything to be able to try and make Liam's life easier. So I hadn't at that stage even thought about a complete hand, or amniotic band syndrome that's the first time I've ever heard about it. I've never seen it, you know. And she came along and I had a look at all of this, and we decided, you know what, let's just make a complete hand.
It was something I never thought of, that, you know, a person can do. And to see him the first time grasp something and have it in his right hand, it was amazing.
Put it down and then pick it up again. Now pick it up again. Yeah, that's right. Clever boy.
The hand that we developed for amniotic band syndrome children and adults is driven by the motion of the wrist. So they don't have the fingers, and generally they have only the palm and no thumb. So it's attached to the hand, a hand cap and a gauntlet, and to that is attached cabling. When you bend your wrist forward, it makes the fingers close, and you bring it up, it opens the fingers. Everything other than three different things are made by the MakerBot. All the fingers and the phalanges, the tips, the thumb, the knuckle block, the wrist hinges are all printed. The only thing that we then add to it is cabling, the hardware, which is all stainless steel, and then the thermoplastic. That you cut the sheet, the piece that you need, the size, and you put it into hot water, and it goes translucent, and you take it out, and then just molds to the exact size of your hand and stuff. Waldo's mom phoned me one day. I was actually doing a woodwork job on site, and she said to me she saw us on SABC TV.
So I saw everything there, emailed the guys, got the numbers and contact Richard.
We chatted and we set it up. And they came through 1 week, and I had an occupational therapist help us with the cap. We made the cap, everything. He had a lot of dexterity problems, and the OT gave him some exercises to do. And by the time he had left us, he could already move his wrist a whole lot more than he originally could.
He's really keen on wearing it. I think if he could go to bed with it, he would also do that. It makes him more, I'm now something special, I'm someone special.
With the MakerBot, as he grows, all we do is we scale it up and print him another one, and the hardware just gets taken from that, put onto the new hand, and then we'd like those hands returned so that we can then filter it on to the next person.
It actually brought some tears to my eyes to know that he'll be able to function like normal other kids with two hands, be able to play ball, play cricket, play rugby, drive his bike, everything like a normal child, hold a glass with two hands. So it was really amazing, and to see the joy in his eyes also, it made me really happy.
It's fun to have, awesome, and I can do almost everything with it.
When you're busy making one of these hands and you make a mistake and you break something or you drill it wrong or something like that, you just go in, set up the machine, and you print a whole new set of parts.
And this 3D printer actually makes it a lot easier for Richard and Robohand to do the printing.
The MakerBot and being able to swap files up and down via the internet cut our sort of prototyping down from a week down to 20 minutes. It was incredibly fast.
For a first-time user, I think he's pretty amazing, and you can see that he's open to the hand doing things that he wants to do.
Dylan's father contacted me and said that he's actually a friend of Liam's dad, and he's been watching it all and he'd like to give his son an opportunity and see if I can help him as well.
We are one of the first people to test out this new piece of equipment, and as I saw it today and the finished product, my boy's really happy, which makes me happy.
If somebody has a child that's got amniotic band syndrome and wants to make their own hand, we actually believe it's possible. On Thingiverse we've put all the files and everything needed. All they have to do is get access to a 3D printer, print out the hand, put it all together. We suggest you find an occupational therapist to help you with the gauntlet and the hand cap. But we also don't think it's impossible if you want to apply your mind to actually do the whole thing yourself.
I am actually quite excited about having a robo hand. I'm excited to try cricket, golf and go swimming with it. On Tuesday, when we're going to play cricket, we're going to be able to catch the ball at that right hand now.
When I saw Dylan's little face light up, your heart just skips a beat. You're so proud. You say all your emotions all at once. It's amazing.
Maybe RoboHand to printing world by surprise with what we've done with it. But if you have a look at the broad spectrum of it, I think that printing a mechanical device that can aid you when you've lost fingers is just, it's a tiny little part of it. It's a big, big picture.
So basically, necessity is the mother of all invention. So this guy had a need for himself. He created something to help himself, and then he shared it with the world and helped others. This is also an effect of the 3D printing. It's also an effect of the new technologies going on. That will be my last video. This is just a vision of how we see, or at least I think, and I shared with this one that created this video, that the future will be. Not exactly the same, but something in that direction.
Happy birthday, son.
Nice cut design. Yeah.
Down now. Share. Upload. Save to disk.
Transporting data.
Analyze. Share. Transferring data.
Materials.
Where's you?
Got some issues with the net connection, but no problem. We move with that. What I wanted to say is, right now we have 3D printing. It takes approximately about an hour to print something complex enough of about 50 to 60 grams, more or less. So I predict that in the future, the printers will become much faster than what they are right now, and the prices will drop as we go ahead. Because instead of buying expensive boards, you will get these tiny devices, which are cheaper, but these devices will be driving those 3D printers. Right now we have experiments going on with Arduino, with 3D printing and laser cutters and stuff like that. So I predict that in the future, the prices will keep on dropping. Okay. I will now move over to another section of the presentation, which will be, I'm going to demonstrate something with a 3D printer.